And the spotlight on this story now, where across Africa's drylands, pastoralist communities or farming communities are driving innovation and adaptation from women led fishing projects in South Sudan to digital livestock tracking in Nigeria. Today, we speak with Carmen Jaquez, who's lead researcher on livelihoods, markets, and the economy at the Supporting Pastoralism and Agriculture in Recurrent and Protracted Crises or SPARC program. She also coordinates the Climate Change Working Group for the UN's International Year of Rangelands and Pastoralists 2026. Carmen will share insights from the documentary called Charting New Futures in Africa's Drylands and discuss how pastoralists are shaping the future of these vital regions. She joins us now from the city of Hargeisa in Somaliland. Carmen, a very good morning to you, and thanks for making time to chat to us. Carmen, are you there?
Hi, good morning. It's a
Hello.
pleasure to be speaking with you.
Great, and we appreciate you making time. What does resilience look like for pastoralist communities in Africa's dry lands, these cattle or sheep farmers?
Great, thanks for that question. There's a big misconception that pastoralism is outdated. People moving with their animals with the seasons in search of water and grazing areas. The research program SPARC found that pastoralist communities are incredibly resilient because their ability to adapt of from decades of ability to adapt to a changing context. Adapting may be choosing new ways of herding. It may be working with communities, adjacent communities, with them more closely. It may be actually changing their way of life, looking at what we saw in South Sudan, engaging in fishing, in northern Nigeria, where we see pastoralists, younger pastoralist generations actually moving into solar technologies, etc. Use of digital communications, cell phones, etc. So a lot of the resilience comes through adaptation.
So, as you say, the film and the documentary called Charting New Futures in Africa's Drylands shows women led fishing in South Sudan and digital livestock tracking in Nigeria, with the example of cell phones that you make there as well as solar. Which of these innovations that the documentary touches on stand out the most?
What really stood out for me is that people are really using the resources that are available to them. Marginalization and lack of investment has really kept people back. Where we see that, the ability to use cell phone networks, where that infrastructure is put in place, people quickly grab it up using technologies such as WhatsApp to share information. The mobile app AfriScout allows pastoralists to identify where there are grazing areas and move into those areas, which turns into better animals that can be sent to Africa's urban markets where our consumers are, whether that be beef, sheep, goats, camel, etc. Some of my favorite adaptations, or one that stuck out to me, is how quickly women are adapting, whether they're moving into agriculture, whether they're moving into business, but really women taking up new ways of earning income and food for their households.
With that adaptation, are you finding that pastoralists are also trying to strike a balance between those traditional farming methods and the new innovation and new technologies that they're moving towards? And is there still a place for those traditional technologies?
Yes, I believe where we see a great example is in weather forecasting. And so, for many of us, we're used to listening to the news in the morning on the radio or on the television, understanding what the weather is going to be today or the next day. Pastoralists have a more traditional way of forecasting weather, which is really looking at the resources, the state of the resources around them. Where we see a lot of progress is when those two are merged, where communities have a chance, they hear the modern forecast, but then they also look at the traditional and they debate. They decide, they say, well, the traditional forecast system is telling us this modern one is telling us this. something maybe the same or a little bit different, and they make a decision uh, by integrating, by combining those two forecasts and really saying, this is what we believe the forecast, the weather will be looking like for the coming weeks and months. Therefore, we're going to move our animals in this type of a pattern. So um, I think that pastoralists, more than many groups, have really done a great job of integrating those traditional and still using the modern systems.
Right. Why is it important for policymakers to involve pastoralists when it comes to decision making and planning? It might seem it might be just for the pastoralist community's benefit, but policymakers could learn some things there as well.
Yes, very much. So keep in mind that livestock production out of pastoralist systems, out of the drylands of Africa, provide upwards of 50 to, in some cases, 80% of the meat that we eat in our cities and our large towns. In some cases, we're looking at 40% of the milk and 60%, 40 to 60% of the milk that we consume on a day-to-day basis is produced from pastoralists. Policymakers investing in, or governments investing in pastoralism, not telling people exactly what to do, but giving them the infrastructure and the resources necessary so that they can adapt and modernize livestock keeping while still maintaining the traditional aspects that are still beneficial. And so, we've seen decades of marginalization. To me, it's less about giving people a handout, but rather to seeing this as an investment opportunity. But we really do need some of that basic infrastructure, schools, roads, cellular technology, etc.
What is the key message that you want viewers to take from this documentary, and where can it be accessed?
Great. So the documentary can be found on YouTube. It's called Charting New Futures, available on the SPARC Knowledge, and that's SPARC with a C, SPARC Knowledge YouTube site. What I want people to take away is that pastoralists are not looking for a handout. They're not looking to be saved, but they're looking for people to invest in, both public investments in that infrastructure, but also private investment, getting more investment into their livestock businesses themselves, but also other upcoming businesses that are appropriate for those drylands.
Carmen, thank you so much for your time again, and have a good weekend.
You too. Thank you so much.
Thanks. Carmen Jaquez is a lead researcher on livelihoods, markets, and the economy at the SPARC program, spelled with a C in the end instead of a K. She was joining us from the city of Hargeisa, that's in Somaliland, live. That documentary